Today we'll be heading north to the Puye Indian cliff dwellings and then come back to Santa Fe for some shopping at the Indian market. We'll be heading through Santa Fe to get to the Puye Indian dwellings, but we'll be coming back here later for some shopping downtown. I don't know if you've been noticing the beautiful decorations that New Mexico and Texas put on their highway construction. The Indians who used to dwell in the cliff dwellings we'll be looking at now live at the Santa Clara Pueblo. Now it's time to head up into the mountains to see the cliff dwellings. That's the steps up to some of it, maybe. These cliff dwellings are in ruins now, but we can still see how they would have lived in them during their heyday. They use ladders like this to climb up and down to the various levels. And there's a professor from the museum showing us how to make clay pottery.
Time for fire experiments, and that's the most dramatic, because that's when everything explodes.
The State Department?
Well, the Museum of Minutes.
Oh, okay.
Every bit of evidence we have has pottery was absolutely primitive. It's only since you could make a living and substitute pottery for farming that men...
We'll look at the Pueblo Indian culture more tomorrow as we go to the Cultural Center in Albuquerque. But there are 19 Indian Pueblos, 20 if you count the one that moves south to El Paso that we saw earlier. We'll be looking at the Santa Clara Pueblo today that would have been here in these mountains. These cliff-dwelling ruins are run by the Santa Clara Pueblo. This is their symbol. The site consists of several areas. On the top of the mountain is where they dwelled in peace. Then you would take this path up and along the cliff face to look at where they dwelled whenever things weren't going so well. This is the path we will be taking today. Some of the group will take the ladders up higher to see the ruins that are on top. This is where they would have lived during times of peace. They have now moved down into the plains and no longer live in the cliffs, and these are historical pictures of how that Pueblo developed. They are a self-governing Indian nation and therefore not under U.S. law. This is our guide from the Santa Clara Pueblo. He won't allow us to film his lectures. For 100 generations, Native Americans have lived on these cliffs. At first, they just lived in the caves themselves without much improvement at all. Next, they started building buildings out in front of the caves out of the tufa blocks that they would cut out of the rock. Here you can see 3 levels, one at the bottom, another up above it, and another up above it, as the post holes would be supported by walls on the other end and would be various levels of homes extending up. They would thus live stacked on top of each other, layer upon layer, along the cliffs. The rooms would be plastered on the inside, and they would normally not have doors on the outside, but would be accessed through the ceiling on ladders. That way, when your enemies came, you just took up the ladder on the outside, and they couldn't get up. The soft tufa stone flakes away very easily and is easy to work, but also means that the homes disintegrate rather easily. They were usually plastered on the inside to keep them smoother and less damaged, and also fires were built inside for heat, light, and cooking. They had floor and ceiling vents to help in the circulation of air. And obviously they had a beautiful view of the countryside. Cliff dwellings extended along the entire cliff, and so thousands of Native Americans could live here. By the way, pueblo means house. Thus, each pueblo thought of themselves as being one big family. This is a stone for grinding corn. Here you can see the vent above the door that was allowing smoke to go out. And all along you can find pottery shards from broken pottery. They love to decorate their pottery. They also drew designs in the cliffs. Why, here's the sun. There's a pregnant possum. And there's some turkey tracks, which was a sacred bird to them. The mountain goat, and other designs. And here's a self-portrait, it seems. Then it's time for me and a few others to part ways, for I head down and the others head up to the top of the cliff to see the top cliff dwellings.
Hey, thanks for walking all over me. At least you did not stick your toes in my nose. That always makes me sneeze. So many people have lived here on me, and they have tried to take care of me while they were there. Now I am just wasting away as rocks roll down me and my face falls off. Hope you had a good day walking around on me.
Now it's time to head back to Santa Fe and do some shopping at the Indian market that has been there for hundreds of years. And as you can see here, even though we're surrounded by the typical mesas and other geology of the western desert, we are near the mountains, and here is one with still snow on it. You might note that here in the market square, many are wearing jackets and sweaters as it is still cold. We are in high elevation. There's been a Native American market here for several hundred years, and the artisans bring their handicrafts that they have made to sell to people. We got pots from this lady and a nativity set from this lady. And now our exploration's done. We call it another night.